Well, Newham College in East London, East Ham and Stratford is one of England's largest general further education colleges, a very successful college. It's rated by the English government Grade 1, outstanding, at a beacon college. We've recognised over about the last 2 years that at the college we have a significant problem, which is the regular class-by-class registration of our learners, marking their arrival in the class, their attendance. At the moment we have a computer in the corner of each classroom, but it seems it is just too laborious for a teacher to log on, to call up the registration software, to put the icon against each learner's name to indicate their arrival, their attendance. If a learner arrives late, much though we don't condone that, it becomes again laborious to interrupt the class. If the teacher is using the same computer for some sort of demonstration using an interactive whiteboard, again it becomes laborious to interrupt. So we found that we were getting quite significant numbers of registers each week that were late marked or not marked at all. And as in England there is a grant to the learner, if it's a 16 to 18-year-old learner, called the Educational Maintenance Allowance, which is dependent upon that attendance mark and data that goes to a payments agency each week, then we found that a number of learners were missing out on their payments. Through our own involvement with piloting uses of NFC and indeed providing consultancy to local companies on applications of NFC, we spotted ourselves that we may even have the solution to our attendance problem within our own house, as it were. And so what we are developing is the use of an NFC chip-enabled mobile telephone, issuing it to each teacher, issuing chip-enabled identity cards to students, so that the intention is that the teacher arrives in the classroom. There is an NFC chip on the wall of the classroom. The teacher registers his or her arrival in the classroom by touching the mobile phone to the chip on the wall, fixed. Thereafter, each learner on arrival simply touches their identity card to the teacher's mobile phone. So we have an instant record of the learner having attended, but also in fact their arrival time. So we can tell if they're late. We can also tell if the teacher has arrived late in the classroom. Now, not for some big brother sort of sinister purpose, but with something like 150 classes perhaps operating at any one time, if we've got a teacher late arriving in class, let's say back to recent episodes during the winter, when there were snow travel disruptions, and we may not know immediately if a teacher has got stuck somewhere en route to the college. So we're setting up that the software will alert us within 10 minutes of the scheduled start of a class if the teacher hasn't yet arrived, which enables us to send appropriate substitute supervision. We looked at a number of approaches to how we could, if you like, modernise our learner attendance system. And it seemed to us that emulating the popularity of the likes of the London Transport System Oyster card application, and also looking to modernise our own security gate system at the entrances to the college, that NFC would appear to be an appropriate solution. And to some extent, and don't laugh at this, it had a certain coolness to the learners. It was cool in order to indicate your attendance, just to chip in. So we investigated further, and we looked at, instead of a mobile phone application, we looked at fixed NFC readers in classrooms. But if I say that the investment cost appeared to us to be 5 times the cost of simply issuing mobile telephones to the teachers, for less than £100,000, we think we can install this system college-wide across all classes, meeting in all 150 classes. So it appeared to us that, number one, we had a solution to the learner attendance registration problem that we had found ourselves with, and number two, it seemed to be an economically attractive solution. Without going into technicality, it's no good just having the indication that the learner has arrived, which goes back to a database. We need to tie that in to our existing learner attendance database, and that has proved complex in terms of getting what is 3 different companies involved in talking to each other, so that we can get some sort of middleware code by which we can translate the indication to the NFC database, the learner has arrived, and then translate that into recording the attendance in our own learner registration database. So that's actually preoccupying us at the moment to get that right, and it's still in its trial stage. Well, we've run this as a fully fledged project right from the outset. So we formed a project steering group. We appointed a commercial project manager. However, the 2 things, even with the best planning, that I would say I've learned from this project, and I continually learn from different technology projects, is 2 things. Firstly, when a commercial party comes along to you and says, oh yes, we think we can provide that solution to you, and it's about X pounds. The first rule is make that twice X. Because all sorts of hidden costs will always be presented to you. Oh, we need to readjust this software code, that's going to require 2 days of development, suddenly that's another few £100, etc. Number 2 is simply the timescale. Getting 3 commercial companies to talk to each other in one room, in terms of getting the connectivity between the software, the hardware, etc., that took us 4 months alone to convince the least interested party that this could be a venture that not only would it help the college, but it actually could be commercially attractive to that 3rd company. So 2 things, always at least double the costs and probably at least double the time that it's going to take.